Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Taking Crazy Pills 000. Am I the a-hole for laughing in my husband's face? So I, female 32, have been married to my husband, male 34, for 6 years. Before we got married, he had me sign a prenup stating that our financials would always be separate, and the only thing we would share was an expense account to pay for household-related fees. The reason for this was because he was making pretty good money and I was in graduate school, so my financial situation was pretty bad. But I signed nonetheless because I understood he wanted to protect himself. Anyway, fast forward to now. I've been out of school for about 4 years, and I estimate I make more than 3 times as much as he does. I never asked how much he makes, and he's never asked me either. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, I told him that I was thinking about buying a new car as the one I had was really old since I had it since my undergraduate days. He wasn't really interested and just told me to get whatever I liked. So, a week ago, I decided to take the plunge and get a German luxury car. I was pretty excited as I had always wanted one. At the time, my husband was on a business trip. He got back yesterday and I showed him my car and he was really happy for me. However, later he asked me what my monthly payments were as the car was pretty new. I told him that I had made the purchase in cash and that I had no monthly payments. He was taken back and asked with what money, and I answered that I made more than enough money to be able to afford it. He didn't talk after that and I thought that was that. However, after a few hours, he came back to me and told me that he thinks we should void the prenup. And this is where I might be the a-hole. I laughed in his face and asked him why would I agree to that, and his answer was that we're married and should share our financials. So, I told him that we've been married for 6 years and yet we've never shared financials, and I was fine with what we were doing, and his sudden change of heart was very suspicious. He called me a bunch of names and stormed out and didn't come home, and I guess he told his family about our fight and they called to berate me and say how he supported me while I was in school. He didn't, and now I'm wondering if I was the a-hole. Well, OP, in my opinion, no, you weren't the a-hole. Maybe it could be a little bit rude to laugh in his face about the obvious, but no, you weren't the a-hole. Regarding the prenup thing, I understand it as something that you would use if you want to protect a particular family asset, or maybe a company that you're a part of that you don't want to bring your partner into because it could get legally messy or something like that. But to protect an income? I mean, in this case, Opie was going through graduate school. It didn't seem like she was being a gold digger or something like that, right? And also, his reaction to you saying no, we can just stay as we are? Well, that struck me as a bit odd, to put it lightly. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark, and I don't know what it is, but I really don't like it. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment, or what would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Pat James 904 says, not the a-hole, I would have laughed too. Now that it is no longer to his benefit, of course, he wants to void the prenup. Haven't you figured out that what is his and he considers what is yours is his? As long as his financials were protected, the prenup was fine. Now that he sees you as a cash cow, he wants to void the prenup. You have every right to be suspicious because reread what I wrote. By the way, it is none of his family's business. It always astounds me how the family gets involved when it is not their fight, and obviously, they don't have the full story. He did not support you while you were in school. It was nice while it lasted, but now that you're making so much more money, this marriage is over. Midian42 says, 100% not the a-hole. Now that he knows you make enough money to pay cash for a luxury car, he wants in on that action. No, don't do it. And don't let his family do it. He was perfectly happy with the financial situation prior to this. Suddenly, he's not, and he's calling you names, walking out on you, and getting his family involved? All because he found out you can buy a car with cash? Nope. What happened to his love? I don't know. Acceptable Banana 13 says, not the a-hole. He thought he was being slick with the prenup, and he thought all this time that he was making more than you. Now you've burst his bubble. He's the a-hole here, not you. But now watch him try to penny pinch everything you do together. If you want to go out, you're paying. If you buy a new oven, he'll want more than half because he doesn't cook. Or if you go on a trip, he'll keep score of everything he paid for and ask you to Venmo him. I don't know how you're married to someone like this, but tell him what you make is none of his business. You contribute your half just as you always have. You're not an a-hole for making good money and for not sharing it. If it was the other way around, he made you sign a legal document that he wouldn't share it with you. Don't let his crappy financial situation F you both up. Even if he's fine with money, he will think this means he has more money, and he doesn't. You do. Opie's edit. I knew his salary when we got together. However, he's since gotten promoted, and at first when I used to ask, he would make comments that it was rude of me to ask how much he made, so I stopped. He's never really been interested in my career or job, and we don't bring our work home. The reason that I make 3 times more what he makes, I made the assumption from what I knew his salary had been, is because I work as a CRNA, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetics, and he works as a software engineer. Opie's edit 2. I didn't expect so many comments. Thanks everyone for sharing your opinions. This post has really made me question everything in my life. I think I'm going to take a leave of absence from my work to sort out my life. My husband was only my second relationship, and I guess I was too caught up in school, work, and debt to really see that my marriage was a sham. I'm not blameless, which is hard to swallow, so I'm going to have a conversation with my husband and see where we go from here, if anywhere. Opie's last edit. Since it's been a point of contention, I'm gonna clear up a few things. I make $175 an hour and work between 40 to 48 hours a week. From what I know, he made about $90,000 when we got together, and I'm sure it's higher now. He also works less hours. We live in a state that is not expensive, so my monthly contribution is about $1,000 to $1,200 a month. He had some property in Nebraska, so he wanted to protect that, and I had debt from school. He did too, but mine was bigger. Okay, so we all agree that Opie is not the a-hole and that there's something going on with that husband of hers. And apparently Opie's starting to question a lot of things. So let's move on with the update to see what happened after this. So a lot of you wanted an update on what happened next. Here it is. I did not take a leave of absence from work. I called in and took a week off. I'm an independent contractor, so I didn't sign any new contracts. I sat my husband down. He got back a few hours after my post and suggested we should see a therapist. He refused. I asked him why he wanted to void the prenup, and he said because he wanted to combine finances. So I asked to see his bank accounts, and as some of you predicted, he had been misusing his money and was virtually broke. He basically had less than half of what I spent on my car. He also made a series of bad investments and had apparently also sold his property that was in Nebraska. But most of his money went to his gambling habit. I knew he gambled, but not at the rate I saw. I asked where could we go from here if he didn't want to go to marriage counseling. He replied that since I made more, he showed me his paycheck, and honestly, based on what everyone was telling me, I thought it would be on par with mine. Long story short, it wasn't. He should quit his job and follow his dreams. He wants to be a professional gambler? Is that even a thing? I don't know whose money he thinks he's going to use, flushed face, to finance that. I asked him who would support him while he was following his dreams. Since he hadn't supported me, I would also not be supporting him. My parents helped me out with the bills when I was in grad school. He flipped out and said I was lucky to have him, that he should have dumped me for a younger woman. I replied that I should have dumped him for a younger man. I know it was childish, but I couldn't help it. He also said that it was unnatural for me to be making more than he was, and that we should have at least 3 kids by now. I confessed that I also lost my crap, and told him that the only younger women who would date him were the drunk or desperate ones, cause he had crazy written all over him. After that whole fiasco, I packed my bags, went to a friend's house, got the number for a good divorce attorney from a friend, and I will meet with him this week and hopefully start the process. I texted my soon-to-be ex that I was filing. His response was that he was never going to sign the divorce papers and that I was stuck with him whether I like it or not. Honestly, everything happened so fast I'm still in shock. I don't even know if I overreacted by talking about divorce so fast. So that's the update. I'm not sure what comes next, but thanks for all the comments. Well, it'll be good for you. I don't think your relationship had much future after all of that anyways. And also, from what I understand, professional gambling is a thing, but if you're a guy that has a lot of gambling debt, you're definitely not a pro. In any case, OP, you're going to shed the weight, so good for you. Thanks for sharing your story and all the best. Take care. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Who Screwed the Pooch. Reconsider working here if I want to take a honeymoon? Okay. I had a manager who hated reading emails and would miss important issues and meetings because of it. I even suggested text-to-speech to make it less unpleasant, but he told me off. He spent a lot of time playing golf with clients and was mostly inaccessible. It got to the point where most of the team CC'd me. I was next on the totem pole, so I could grant approvals for stuff like expense reports and help out on projects my manager was supposed to work on. When I was getting married, I requested 3 weeks off for my honeymoon. Everyone knew I was getting married. My manager even congratulated me on the engagement when it happened. I had 5 weeks vacation accumulated and didn't think it would be a big deal, especially since I was requesting it nearly 8 weeks in advance. Then a vacation request denied email comes in from our time off system. I emailed my manager following up, left voicemails, and after a week he finally replied to an email. Look, we need dedicated people. If you think you can take 3 weeks off for vacation, you need to reconsider your position here. Keep in mind, my request stated vacation request for honeymoon. I replied with no consideration needed. My last date would be date in 3 weeks. Let me know about transition in duties. I forward this to HR, CCing my manager, and HR sets up my exit interview. But HR tells my manager to set up transition for my responsibilities. During my notice period, I even replied all to this email twice asking about transition plans, since I didn't get any transition plan. I tell my team, they ask my manager what to do with my duties, and my manager says he'll think about it, but doesn't do anything nor email anything out. 4 weeks later, I get a call from my old boss. Are you planning on coming this week? Why would I? Because you work for me. Not as of last week. Stop messing around. Get your ass in the office. I told you my last day when you denied my vacation request. How about giving proper notice for transitions? HR asked you to develop a transition plan and to attend my exit interview. It's not my fault you don't read all your emails. I hang up and block his number, but screenshot the call and sent it to the HR contact with an innocent, should I be worried old manager still thinks I work for him? Fallout. Things went from bad to worse for my old manager. Apparently, I was doing most of his managerial duties, so he actually had to try and get stuff done himself. He also got into some legal issues. Those client golf outings? He played golf, but not with clients. That made his termination with cause, so no severance for him. I ended up at a competitor with a nice bump in pay. I wanted to start after my honeymoon, but the new company really wanted my help on a pitch. I joined for several weeks, reworking 1/3 of the pitch, and then went on my honeymoon for 3 weeks. They paid me for the entire time off. That garnered a lot of goodwill from both me and my wife. I only left the company because the missus and I moved cross-country and they didn't have remote positions back then. Edit to add, I don't have all the details, but know my old manager had to hire lawyers to deal with legal issues related to his dismissal and the expenses. Also, this happened in the late 2000s. The missus and I are still married. Well done, OP. No need to reconsider, you just told him you're out and that was that. He didn't like reading his emails? Well, that's on him. Maybe he should have golfed less and read more emails. I don't know and don't really care. All the best, OP, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Take care. Now, let's move on with the next post. This post is from the subreddit Today I Effed Up, and it's by user Uncle Coyote. Today I effed up by telling my wife a faked fact to mess with her. This happened almost 15 years ago and came back to bite me today, which is why it's a Today I Effed Up. My wife loves Christmas songs and she loves to sing them. 15 years ago, we were on a holiday car ride and she decided to pass the time by singing the Christmas song over and over again. And me being me, decided to F with her just to be funny. When she got to Jack Frost nipping at your nose, I blanched out and asked her why was she singing that song in an absolutely mortified voice. When she looked confused, I feigned surprise that she was unaware of her faux pas and proceeded to inform her that, like many a Grimm's fairy tale, Christmas songs often have a dark past and that Jack Frost was the name of a mental patient from the 20s who broke out of an asylum during a Christmas break and went around devouring faces, particularly noses, to which he had acquired a taste for. She bought it hook, line, and sinker. She was shocked, horrified that people would sing about it, and we talked about it for the duration of the ride. Jack Frost's antics growing darker and darker as the miles flew by. Fast forward to this morning. I'm in a good mood. It's super snowy, and I have snow blow the driveway. As I'm getting dressed, I start singing the Christmas song, and she chastises me in a teasing voice. I had no idea what she was talking about. She then confides that Jack Frost, the serial nosebiter, had forever ruined that song for her and she can no longer stand it. I laugh and explain that I was teasing that day and I honestly didn't think she believed me. She got mad. Mad. Apparently, this has been her go-to fact during the holidays, and for the last 15 years has shared this dark and gruesome tidbit with anyone who would listen. I guess a sea of confused and disbelieving looks and a flashback of people staring at her as if she were a nosebiter came back to haunt her as the lie she had been spreading for years came back in a moment of dawning comprehension. She's mad and a little hurt, and I'm apparently the king of lies who is never to be trusted again. Opie's edit. Thank you for all the awards, well wishes and whatnot. She's forgiving me, feels stupid, and now I have to explain to her what Reddit is and how this is my top submission, so I'm not out of the doghouse yet. Next morning edit. All is well, she loves me. Should have expected this from me as I have a tendency to lean towards mischief and even laughed about Reddit and Newsweek. All is good, there will be no divorce. I'm sorry that I'm basically Satan from the small group of you requesting that I end myself for a good-natured teasing, and those of you who claim that you'd never marry me because I'm a manipulative a-hole, you've never seen me dance. You would, you so would. Well, OP, I've gotta say, it is a good tease. Maybe it went too far for it being 15 years, but you've been forgiven, she loves you and understands your mischievous nature. Take care, OP, and keep on dancing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe, or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.